Her note read, "I'm done, Elmer. I want a new life." Then my ledger showed our life savings, gone overnight. Before you hear this incredible tale, I humbly ask you to hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon, so you never miss another heartfelt story like this one. Picture Youngstown, Ohio, in the fall of 1983, where the air smelled of rust and despair, and the steel mills that once roared with life stood silent, like tombstones of a better time. My name's Elmer Hargrove, 78 now, but back then I was 38. A bookkeeper at Mahoning Valley Savings and Loan, my days spent hunched over ledgers with a pencil worn to a nub. My wife, Beatrice, was the heart of any crowd. Her laughter could light up the gloomiest union hall. She typed records for Steelworkers Local 1462, her fingers dancing on an IBM Selectric. We'd been married 17 years, high school sweethearts from Struthers, raising our son, Clarence, in a modest brick house on Elm Street, its porch sagging under the weight of hard years. The 1980s were brutal. Mills closed, unemployment hit 20%, and folks pawned wedding rings for bread. But we had each other. Until that note, slipped under my coffee mug one chilly October morning, shattered everything. I'd always been a numbers man, ever since balancing the books for our 64 senior class fundraiser at Cheney High, down to the last dime. Beatrice would tease, "Elmer, you'd tally the raindrops in a storm." Someone had to be cautious. The Great Depression stories from my dad, who'd lost everything but his pride, taught me that. I kept our savings, $22,000, scraped from overtime and skipped vacations, in a passbook at the bank. Every deposit and withdrawal logged in my leather-bound ledger, its pages yellowed from years of use. Beatrice worked at the union office, typing dues reports and payrolls, coming home with stories of strikes and families evicted from company housing. "We're fighting for them, Elmer," she'd say, her hazel eyes fierce. I trusted her passion, her loyalty. But lately she'd grown distant. Why had she stopped asking about our savings? That morning, Clarence was at school, his lunchbox packed with bologna sandwiches. I sipped coffee from a chipped mug, the radio droning about Reagan's tax cuts, when I found her note on the kitchen table, written in her neat cursive. "Elmer, I'm at a union conference in Pittsburgh. I want a divorce. I found someone. Who makes me happy? Keep the house. I'm sorry." My breath caught, not just from the words, but their cold efficiency, like a clerk closing a file. 17 years, and she'd ended it with a scrap of paper. My chest ached, but instinct took over. I grabbed my ledger, flipping to the savings log. The numbers hit like a punch. A $20,000 withdrawal, dated yesterday, leaving $2,000. No signature, no notice. My hands trembled. How could Beatrice steal our future? I drove to Mahoning Valley Savings and Loan, the ledger tucked under my arm, my Ford Falcon rattling over potholed streets. The bank was a gray stone building, its lobby smelling of floor wax and desperation. Mildred, the teller with cat-eye glasses, frowned at my passbook. "Elmer, this withdrawal's flagged. It's over the $10,000 limit without joint approval." I'd set that rule in '79, after a client lost thousands to a forged check. The bank manager, Mr. Pritchard, a stern man with a comb-over, confirmed it. "Funds are frozen pending fraud review, 5 to 7 days. My system had caught her, but the victory felt hollow. Beatrice knew my habits, my ledger. Why risk it? I nodded, my mind spinning. Who was this someone she'd found? Back home, I sat at the kitchen table, the ledger open, its columns a map of our life. Grocery budgets, Clarence's braces, Beatrice's new coat in '81. Small withdrawals. $50, $100 had started 6 months ago, always when she balanced the union books. I'd missed them, too focused on keeping us afloat. Her conference trips had multiplied. Akron in June, Cleveland in August, now Pittsburgh. Last week over meatloaf, she'd asked, "Elmer, how much we got saved?" I'd said, "About 22 grand, thinking her smile was pride. Now it felt like a predator's grin. Was she planning this from the start? I thought of Clarence, 15, his lanky frame hunched over comic books. How would I tell him his mother was gone? The rotary phone rang, jarring me. Beatrice's voice, sharp as a paper cut. "Elmer, my bank draft's not clearing. Fix it." Her tone held that controlled panic, like when her typewriter jammed before a union deadline. "It's frozen," I said. "Bank rules, you know that." Silence stretched. "How long?" she asked, voice tight. 5 to 7 days. Maybe more if they find issues. She hung up without a word. I stared at the phone, its black plastic warm from my grip. She wasn't just leaving, she was erasing us, but her boldness gnawed at me. She knew I'd checked the ledger. What made her think she'd get away? I didn't sleep, the ledger open under a dim lamp. Beatrice had manipulated me, used my trust to siphon our savings. Friday, I visited the union office, a squat brick building on Market Street, its air thick with cigarette smoke and mimeograph ink. Dolores, Beatrice's co-worker, fidgeted when I asked about the Pittsburgh conference. "She didn't mention it," she said, eyes darting to the floor. "She's been meeting with Vincent Malone a lot." Vincent, the union treasurer, was a smooth talker, his tailored suits out of place in Youngstown's grit. Whispers pegged him as skimming dues for shady deals. A new car lot, a failed steel venture. Was he Beatrice's someone? My stomach twisted. Had she traded our life for his promises? The bank called that afternoon. "Elmer, the withdrawals under fraud review. We found irregularities, drafts from your account linked to union funds." My heart sank. Beatrice wasn't just stealing from us. She was tangled in something bigger. At the library, I pored over microfilm, finding a 1982 Vindicator article. Union Treasurer Vincent Malone questioned in steel venture losses. Beatrice's name wasn't mentioned, but her typewriter had produced those reports. Was she covering? For him? Her late nights, new pearl earrings, her comment about our cluttered guest room, signs I'd ignored. What else had she hidden? Saturday, I met my brother, Floyd, at the Idora Park Diner, its jukebox playing Patsy Cline. "Beatrice always wanted more," he said, stirring his coffee. "You were steady, Elmer, but she chased flash." His words cut, but they rang true. She'd admired Vincent's Cadillac, his talk of saving Youngstown. I showed Floyd the ledger, its pages marked with her withdrawals. "She's been at it for months," I said. He whistled. "You calling the sheriff?" I hesitated. Exposing Beatrice meant dragging Clarence through scandal, maybe losing her to jail. But letting her go betrayed every sacrifice we'd made. "What would justice cost our boy?" "Monday," Mr. Pritchard called. "Elmer, Beatrice forged your signature on 3 drafts, funneled to an account in Vincent's name. Union money's missing too. Thousands." My ledger, my meticulous notes, had caught what the union's sloppy records missed. I felt no triumph, only weight. Beatrice had played me, using my trust to fund her escape. But the union's corruption ran deeper. Vincent's deals, Beatrice's typing, a web of deceit. Tuesday, a letter arrived, postmarked Pittsburgh, in Beatrice's hand. "Elmer, I'm sorry, I got lost. Forgive me." I didn't reply. Words couldn't undo theft. Wednesday, Sheriff Harlan Tate knocked, hat in hand. "Elmer, we need your ledger. The union's under investigation. Beatrice and Vincent are named." My throat tightened. My system, built to protect us, had exposed a scandal that could ruin lives beyond ours. I handed over the ledger, its ink smudged from my grip. As Harlan left, I saw Clarence's bike leaning against the porch. How would I explain his mother's crimes? The phone rang, Vincent's voice smooth but edged. "Elmer, call off the bank. We can settle this quiet." My knuckles whitened on the receiver. What had he and Beatrice planned, and how far did this corruption reach? Vincent's voice on the phone was a snake's hiss, promising an easy way out, but my ledger had already spoken truths he couldn't silence. I hung up, my heart pounding, and stared out the kitchen window at Youngstown's grey skyline, where smokestacks loomed like ghosts of better days. It was October 1983, and my name's Elmer Hargrove, 78 now, but 38 then, a bookkeeper whose world unraveled when my wife, Beatrice, left a note announcing a divorce and tried to drain our $22,000 savings. My ledger, my lifeline, had caught her. Theft, exposing a web of union corruption tied to Vincent Malone, the slick treasurer of Steelworkers Local 1462. Sheriff Harlan Tate had just taken my ledger for an investigation, and now Vincent was scared. But what scared me was facing my son, Clarence, with the truth about his mother. The next morning, Thursday, I sat Clarence down at the kitchen table, his comic books pushed aside. "Your mom's in trouble," I said, my voice steady despite the ache. "She took money she shouldn't have." His brown eyes, so like Beatrice's, widened. "Is she coming back?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know, son." He nodded, too young to grasp the betrayal but old enough to feel the weight. I drove to Mahoning Valley Savings and Loan, where Mr. Pritchard, the bank manager, had new details. "Elmer, your ledger's a gold mine. Beatrice funneled $20,000 to Vincent's account, but we've traced $50,000 more from union dues to a sham company, Malone Enterprises." My jaw tightened. Beatrice wasn't just stealing from us, she was helping Vincent rob workers blind. How deep did her loyalty to him run? I met my brother Floyd at the Idora Park Diner, its Formica counters sticky with syrup. "Vincent's been buying properties dirt cheap," Floyd said, citing mill workers' homes foreclosed in the recession. "Word is, he flips them for profit." My ledger had entries matching those dates, Beatrice's withdrawals aligned with property sales. Had she typed the deeds, knowing families were losing homes? I thought of her note. "I've found someone who makes me happy." Vincent's promises of wealth, his Cadillac gleaming in Youngstown's mud, had seduced her. But why risk our family? I drove to the union office, hoping for answers. Dolores, Beatrice's co-worker, whispered, "Vincent's meeting bigwigs in Pittsburgh. Beatrice was with him yesterday." My stomach churned. Was she still in Pittsburgh, plotting with him? Friday, Sheriff Harlan called me to the station, a brick building smelling of coffee and old paper. "Your ledger's cracked the case wide open," he said. "Vincent and Beatrice moved $75,000 in union funds to Malone Enterprises, disguised as consulting fees. We're raiding his office tonight." I handed over more notes, every withdrawal, every date Beatrice had worked late. Harlan's deputy, Roy, added, "We found a ledger in Vincent's desk, sloppier than yours, Elmer. It lists payoffs to city officials." Corruption ran deeper than I'd imagined, tainting Youngstown's crumbling core. I pictured Beatrice, her typewriter clacking, enabling Vincent's schemes. Did she know the full scope, or was she just a pawn? Saturday, the Vindicator's front. Page screamed, "Union Treasurer, typist named in fraud probe." Beatrice's name in print felt like a blade. Neighbors whispered as I mowed the lawn, Clarence hiding in his room. I wanted to shield him, but the truth was spreading like rust. That evening, Agnes, Beatrice's mother, called, her voice trembling. "Elmer, is it true?" "My Beatrice." I told her about the ledger, the frozen funds, Vincent's call. "She's lost her way," Agnes said. "Talk to her." I didn't want to, but for Clarence, I agreed. Beatrice called from a Pittsburgh payphone, her voice brittle. "Elmer, I didn't mean for this. Vincent said it was safe." "Safe?" I snapped. "You stole from us, from workers." Silence. "I'm coming home," she said. Would she face me or run? Monday. Beatrice arrived at our Elm Street house, her suitcase battered, her pearl earrings gone. She looked smaller, her confidence drained. "I thought Vincent could save us," she said, eyes down. "He promised a new life." I gripped the ledger, its pages my anchor. "You forged my name, Beatrice. You chose him." She flinched. "I typed his reports, Elmer. I didn't know he was bribing officials." I didn't believe her. She'd been too careful, too involved. Clarence peeked from the hallway, and I sent him to his room. "The sheriff's coming," I said. Her eyes widened. "You turned me in?" My silence was answer enough. What choice did I have? Sheriff Harlan arrived, cuffs in hand. "Beatrice Hargrove, you're under arrest for fraud and conspiracy." Clarence's sob echoed as she was led away, her head bowed. I held him, my own tears held back. The ledger had protected our savings but couldn't save our family. Tuesday, the bank confirmed our $20,000 was restored. The joint account split, $2,000 each. I didn't touch it, letting Beatrice have her half. Justice wasn't about money, it was about truth. But the truth hurt. Clarence stopped eating, and neighbors avoided my gaze. Had I done right by exposing her, or damned us all? Wednesday, I testified at the county courthouse, a stone building packed with reporters. My ledger tracked every penny, I told the prosecutor, my voice calm. Beatrice's withdrawals triggered my system. Vincent's lawyer, a sharp-eyed man named Gilbert, claimed I'd framed Beatrice to trap Vincent. I showed the ledger's dates, undeniable as gravity. The judge nodded, and whispers rippled through the crowd. Vincent took the stand, his charm faded, admitting to mishandling funds but pinning bribes on Beatrice. My blood boiled. Was she his scapegoat, or had she planned it all? The Vindicator reported, "Bookkeeper's ledger exposes union fraud." I felt no pride, only weight. Friday, Harlan shared more. Vincent bribed city planners to rezone mill land for his properties, cheating workers out of homes. Beatrice had typed those zoning requests, her initials on every page. I found her, old typewriter in the attic, its ribbon still inked, and imagined her fingers betraying us. Floyd stopped by, offering whiskey. "You did right, Elmer," he said, "but it cost you." I nodded, thinking of Clarence's empty chair at dinner. The ledger had caught a crime, but could it heal my son? I wrote to Agnes, promising Clarence would visit, but my words felt hollow. 2 weeks later, Beatrice's lawyer, a public defender named Marjorie, called. She's offering to testify against Vincent for a reduced sentence. I met Marjorie at a coffee shop, its jukebox playing Johnny Cash. "Beatrice says she typed what Vincent ordered," Marjorie said. She didn't know about bribes. I doubted it. Her withdrawals were too precise. "What's her deal?" I asked. 5 years instead of 15. I thought of Clarence, who'd started drawing again, sketches of steel mills. "Tell her to take it," I said. Justice wasn't revenge, it was clarity. But would Clarence forgive her? The trial lasted 12 days. I testified twice, first about the ledger, then about our marriage. "I trusted Beatrice," I said, my voice breaking, "until she stole our savings." Vincent's plea deal came on. Day 10, 7 years for naming city officials. Beatrice took 5 years, admitting to fraud but not bribes. The judge ordered restitution, $75,000 back to the union, $20,000 to our account. I sold the Elm Street house for $45,000, enough to start fresh in Warren, a smaller town 15 miles away. The divorce finalized quietly, no alimony, just papers signed in a lawyer's office smelling of pipe smoke. I bought a 1-story cottage in Warren, no guest room to clutter, no echoes of Beatrice. Clarence enrolled in a new school, his sketches, now of bridges, not ruins. I kept my job at Mahoning Valley Savings and Loan, tweaking my ledger system to catch corporate fraud, saving clients thousands. Occasionally, Beatrice wrote from prison, her letters full of regret. "I lost myself, Elmer. Tell Clarence I love him." I didn't reply, but I saved them for him. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give. It was his. Years later, in 1990, I taught a night class at Youngstown State. Fraud detection, using real cases. Trust, but verify, I told students, my ledger on the desk. Youngstown rebuilt slowly, new businesses replacing mills. Clarence became an engineer, building bridges like his sketches. I never remarried, finding peace in routine. Coffee, market checks, drives past rusted smokestacks. Beatrice served her time, released in '88, but we never spoke. Clarence visited her once, returning quiet. "She's sorry, Dad," he said. I nodded. My ledger closed. The system I built outlived my marriage, catching crimes when trust failed. Betrayal cuts, but resilience endures, like steel tempered by fire. I learned to live by numbers, not emotions, and found justice in truth, not anger. Sometimes I wonder if Beatrice found peace. That's her story, not mine. If this story reminded you of your grandpa's tales, please share your own in the comments. I'd love to hear them.